Moderators can support your channel in even more ways. Introducing, managing mods have the same capabilities as standard mods, but in addition, they can manage blocked words and change chat modes and lives. Oh my god! Okay, what's up, guys? I'm real. I'm happening. Don't adjust your screen. I truly am live streaming. And let me tell you, because you all know that the whole point of my channel is for me to talk trash, especially negatively. That's where I thrive. But it took me 10 fucking minutes to get this stream started because it has changed so much since the days when I used to do this regularly. And because I go a long time without streaming, there are new buttons that I have to acknowledge and tell it that, yes, I understand your little tutorial about moderators and things, but I hate how I have to set things up before the stream. I was trying to stream horizontally. Back in the day, all I had to do was take my phone, push the little button that unlocks the rotation settings, set it horizontally the way it is now, push stream, go live, and that's it. But now, at the beginning, it inherently starts off vertically. So from there, I have to tell it that I'm going to stream horizontally. And then after that, I have to once again, I guess, adjust the settings of how I'm going to have this. And it is so annoying. I just miss when this shit used to be so simple. But anyways, I'm not going to let that discourage me. I just wanted to share that I had been trying for about 10 minutes. That's how long it took me to figure this out. It's clearly not very user friendly. But I thought that I would make a stream because I miss doing streams and I get to embarrass myself. And I always felt like it was just a better way for me to ramble and not have to worry about how long is this and editing it so that it's a little bit more presentable. Because I really hate when I do things like stutter or sniffle or things like that. So I do this whenever I feel fired up and physically well enough to where that shouldn't happen. And hey there, I hope you had a happy birthday. Hey there, so like always, I haven't forgotten about you. And yeah, I meant to actually tell you how my birthday went. I knew that I had something pending. Well, for starters, yesterday, it was a day that was a little bit over the place because it's Friday, end of the week. I like to get certain things done. It's the beginning of the month. So there's like adulting that needs to happen before anything. And my morning was spent running some errands, which it was okay. It was basic. It was a matter of going to the post office, which is always a good thing because that means I'm shipping something that I got to sell. And mom needed my help with something. She continues to receive correspondence that arrives here. And of course, it's time sensitive. Therefore, I have to figure out how to get this stuff done for her. I will definitely tell you later with a little bit more detail what it is. And it's not anything bad, it's just I hate that this happens because this is something that should have been taken care of. Why is your mail still arriving here? And why do I have to take charge of this matter? That type of thing. So that had me a little bit preoccupied, and it just sucks because, I mean, of all time, this had to happen. It had to be around this time, you know? And on top of that, the other stuff that I had going on in my personal life that I was telling you about, like the household adjustment stuff. But at least I was able to push away the things that I felt were trying to stress me out and bring me down a little bit. But outside of that, except for that pending matter with mom, now everything else got done. And for my birthday, I really kept it simple and basic. I had to go. Where did I go again? I have to think about it because I'm getting my days mixed up since I've been out and about. But yesterday, I know that we went to another town that I hadn't ever been at, and we visited like a place that they sell local ice cream, and they have a branch in a town that's like 2 towns away from here. But then this one, it was about 45-ish minutes away, and I had never been on that side of the area before, and it was so far north that we almost crossed state lines, I would imagine. But it was a good experience because I discovered that just because a local company runs the same business but in different locations, it doesn't mean it tastes the same. The ice cream that's closest to me tastes significantly better from this other place. And I ordered the exact same thing. My little chocolate thingy with the coconut shred thingies on it, and that's it. But for some reason, this other place, if I were to describe what was lacking about it, it had to be the place closest to me has a rich, bold flavor, whereas this one tasted a little bit more watered down, if that makes sense. But anyway, nonetheless, it was a great experience because it was a nice location. The terrain was significantly different to what I'm used to. There was like more, it was more like nature inclined. There were more trees than I had seen recently because around here there's so much development going on. I find it a little appalling because I remember how not even that long ago, only 10 years ago, everything looked so different. But now I keep seeing trees getting chopped down, and there's a lot of highway development too. And as much as I like the idea of simplifying my driving, I don't mind driving for prolonged periods of time because I can plan for that. But I also don't mind that perhaps some routes can become simpler for me if I do go out, which you know that I don't really go out that often. So we did that in the evening. We also had dinner. We went literally to our backyard. It's like you leave here, you make it to a stop sign, you make a turn, there's a stop sign, stoplight rather. You make another turn, drive down that block to make another turn, go 1 block, and then the next block there's like the restaurant we went to would be on our left, and it was a barbecue place. What's funny is that we kept debating about where to go, like, oh well, you're the birthday girl, pick a place. And I'm like, I sincerely don't have any plans because I feel like I'm so saturated from our restaurants here, and I wasn't necessarily trying to go very far either because it's one of those things that once the evening starts setting in, I don't really like to eat heavy. Pretty much past 6 p.m., I look at it as okay, whatever I'm going to eat, it's gonna have to be very small and very simple. And I had been thinking about where to go. I believe I mentioned to you that a couple nights ago I was asked, oh yeah, so where are we going for your day? And I was like, what? That's happening? Oh shit, I totally forgot. So it's one of those things that I really don't wait for the calendar to dictate when I can do something. It's okay, take me to Burger King for all I care. But on another day, when our schedule is a little bit more favorable, maybe we can make the special trip to go somewhere better. See what I mean? I don't like to just limit myself to, we can only go eat somewhat fancier whenever there's a special occasion. The special occasion is now because especially the events that we experienced that you know about over the holidays, we don't know if we're gonna get another chance, you know. So if you have plans to do something, I think you should just do it. I did think about it. nothing really jumped out at me. So I said, hey, if it were you, where would you go? And then barbecue sounded good. So that's what we did. And I also like that it's a place that we don't really frequent. So it does give it a little bit of a special feel to it. But although we have been there a handful of times, I keep ordering the same stupid thing because the menu hasn't been refreshed enough to where I can be like, I could consider this other item, you know? Another thing I did was mom called me because I was texting her about the matter that I was very vaguely describing earlier. And she decided to call me while I was driving. So I just decided to redirect and go home and be on the call. And on top of that, her reception was pretty bad. So I honestly heard with clarity only 15% of what she said. And I kept telling her, Ma, I'm sorry, but you sound like this. You like you like I'm only figuring out what you're saying based on context clues. I'm not really hearing you with clarity. That's why, pushing the buttons is the way to go. But we were due for a conversation because I haven't verbally spoken to her since her departure back on June the 10th. And it's one of those things that I just have such a shit schedule that is normal. Like she knew to not really try to call me because I would be tied up between leaving work, which I have been leaving a little later, and then the scrambling I usually do in my evenings anyway. And it just wasn't really suitable to make calls. And everybody who knows me well knows that calling me is just not the thing to do. Because the thing about calling is that it feels like you're trapped. You have to give someone a live response. And if you know anything about phones, you know that they can be a little shitty sometimes about how you are heard. If you are talking, you better be facing in its direction, because if you walk too far or if you face the opposite direction, sound just doesn't sound the same, and that's just frustrating for me. I deal with that at work, and I just don't like that my movements are just connected with the phone. If I'm washing dishes, you're gonna hear that noise. I don't like to be sitting still. And me sitting still right now is a miracle. All I wanna do is get up and get shit done. But when I'm on a call, I feel like I have to respect the person as if they were sitting right here with me. Therefore, I cannot be multitasking as I have the phone on. And I also like to actually focus on what they're saying, and given that mom's reception was pretty choppy, even worse. But I just also understand that it's been a while since I verbally talked to her, and that I kept telling her, hey, I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna call you, but stuff kept happening. And you remember my story about 2 weekends ago? Has it been 2 weekends? About what happened where I had to make that big purchase. So that was happening as well, and she was aware. But I'm like, hey, it's one of those things that once you turn into adult, your time is just not the same. And I personally just do not like to talk at certain times of the day. Like I have my day compartmentalized, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, early in the day, I gotta take care about how I'm going to go about the day. That's my planning stage. It's like, okay, post office, I gotta get the cat's litter, I gotta wash the car, this, that. I'm in business manager mode. Don't bother me, don't talk, don't make noise, don't add that to what I'm doing. The second part of my day is, okay, I need to consider what I'm going to eat, how, and where. Make that plan. And if it's Tuesday, it's already settled because you know that I get my religious tacos. Then after that, I gotta think about how I'm going to go about my day when it comes to side stuff on the days that I'm off. Send my promotions, admin work, to sum it all up. That happens in utter absolute silence. Even the cat meowing makes me freak out. I'm like, don't you dare make noise. I feed him immediately. I give him fresh water, and he knows it's the daytime. You're supposed to be sleeping. That's when I thrive. If not, I have to go outside, sit in the car to make my plans. Because sometimes I feel more focused when I'm outside the house, because if I'm here in the house as I'm thinking and I notice an envelope, it's like, oh yeah, that shit's pending. Or if I see the dishes, it's like, oh shit, that shit's pending. Or if I see the laundry, it's like, oh shit, that shit is coming up too. It's, I cannot have a lot of visual stimulus of pending things, because I feel like that's when I start getting overwhelmed. And that's when I started writing things down in my agenda. And I started noticing the difference, that I didn't feel that stress of, oh my God, there is so much to do at the same time, and I have all this energy, but I'm not getting anything done because I don't know where to start. So now it's like, as soon as I map it all out, I'm good. And then toward the evening, that's my time when I'm ready to talk and be more social, because I have performed the processes of me being productive in the daytime, in the morning. On the days that I work, I had to talk to the squad and the customers. That's socially overstimulating for me, not a lot of quiet time, game over. So in the evening, I need to have my 2 to 3 hours of silence, so that the noise that I collected in the daytime can quiet itself down. And then toward the evening slash night, that's when it's the best time for you to communicate with me. And that's why usually that's around the time that you may start getting messages from me, and you'll know that it's late for me. Like sometimes it's like 10, 11, midnight, and I'll be there answering to you. But it truly, truly, truly is the best time for me, because everything else is quiet. It's dark. Not even the light feels like a stress to me. Sometimes brightness gets on my nerves too. It's just that. Sometimes I feel like my senses are very overstimulated. And that's why I don't like being on the phone. Being on the phone, calling, talking verbally during a time that I'm supposed to be productive with something else is just not optimal for me. So the best time for me to get a call would be at nighttime, as I'm trying to like slow down to get ready for bed, something like that. A very simple, easy conversation, I can handle that. But sometimes when it comes to mom, when we are on the phone, I learned to associate her as stressful, because usually she's talking to me about something she needs from me to get done. And when you deal with that for so long, as long as I have, it, it's its own unique stress. So when she called me yesterday, I'm like, I knew that she was going to call, but I hate that the trigger of the call was more about what she has to get done more than my birthday. See what I mean? So even on my day that is supposed to be about me, it's still not about me. And I don't want to sound mean or anything like that, but it's like, can I get a break? Like, when can we have an organic conversation where it doesn't revolve around business? That's my cause of stress with my family members. Like, when will y'all have recreational time with me? I have more recreational time chatting with you guys using a little ass keyboard more than having a conversation with my family sometimes. And that's why I be getting salty on some occasions. See what I mean? So it's one of those things that I would be eager and willing to cooperate if there was a balance. But when my phone rings and it's a family member, it's like, fuck! What do you need now? And at the same time, that makes me sad, because I'm like, there will be a time, assuming that the order of nature takes its course, that I won't be getting calls anymore. And I'm going to wish that I was getting those calls. Not for the business reasons, but for the emotional connection, what is it, like cultivational reasons, nurturing. Like, when do I get my turn? See what I mean? So the fact that, come on, man, it's my birthday and we're talking business. Really? There was no other time to do this? So yeah, it's the reason I ramble like this is so that I can express what I mean every time I'm on the channel and I describe certain subjects and I sound really bitter and salty. It's like, you don't understand what it's like for this to be the way of things since forever. And it just helps for me to describe it, because I'm like, oh, you mean to tell me this isn't over? When I was expecting for it to be over, since she's not here. Why is your mail after 2 months, not 1 week, not 1 day, 2 months, still arriving here? It makes me want to think the worst. Like, oh, okay, you left the address like that so that it arrives here so that you can occupy me with your matters despite you moving out, and now I have to forward it to you and keep you informed, and I'm a grown up with my stuff to do, and I'm supporting you, but how are you supporting me? See, that lack of balance, that's where my freakouts and meltdowns come from. But it's one of those things that, again, I like to help, but the frequency of it, sometimes it's like, how do you need so much help? And I'm just ready for this season to be over and for me to finally be like, okay, I was experiencing that peace and serenity, but now I'm back to going back through the times that were stressful, like in the springtime after, her wreck happened. I understand why you were so dependent on me back then, but now you are hundreds of miles away, and for some reason, you still need me to do things that are pertinent to your personal matters, related to, like, when you move, all the responsibilities linked to you moving. Why am I having to do that? That's what bothers me. So anyways, outside of that, she described to me a little bit about how she's setting up her place, and an anecdote or two about living with my brother. That was fine. And I also told her a little bit about what's been going on here, which is more of the same thing, like the way that I grind at work and my side stuff, and a little bit of what I'm doing around the house myself, which is housekeeping. And of course, any anecdotes of my friends that she may know that I have for her. I don't think I told you about that one, but yeah, it's just those things. I'm just the kind of person who, once I get my flow going, don't bother me until I'm done, unless you're asking me, how can I help you so this gets done faster or more efficient? See what I mean? It's just that bullshit, man. Like, I was raised to be a manager, and I thought that it was more for my sake, but it's like, okay, I was put into this shape and capability so that I could serve as someone's assistant. How is that fair? When do I get to have fun? And I used to think it was just me exaggerating, but no, this happens to a lot of people. And some people don't even know how to put into words what they're going through. And then that's when I actually learned through others describing similarities to me that I realized that this was happening to me. See what I mean? So it's that conflict of, I want to be a good daughter, but I don't think that it should be at the expense of my progress. When do I get to invest in myself and focus on that? I know I can make it, but I can make it if you don't bother me. And if you are going to, what are you doing to make up for that effort that I'm putting in that is taking me away from focusing on other things? See what I mean? It's like, I feel like, okay, I'm starting a class. Let's say that I'm trying to learn Italian. I'm in my Italian class. I'm getting ready to learn how to listen, but here you are pulling me from class. I have to leave class early because you have an appointment. Like, damn! Let me finish! All I know about my life is incomplete projects and continuous disruptions. That's why I'm not eager when someone needs something from me to help. See what I mean? Because on top of that, I rarely need anything, and even when I feel like I need something, I still don't ask, and I get a great satisfaction out of fulfilling things alone and be like, oh shit, I'm actually more self-sufficient than I give myself credit. It sucks that I have to handle this on my own, but if I can handle it on my own, I have significantly less experience and resources than you, why can't you do it? And this is not just about her. This entails anybody ever who I have stumbled upon, who I have this kind of relationship with. See what I mean? It doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it always feels like the worst time. Because it is the worst time. Any time is the worst time. But anyways, at least I'm looking at it a little bit more humorously. Let's see. I don't recognize the person saying sup, but sup. And you're saying fix the bed. Lol. This isn't even supposed to be the spot that I'm streaming at, but this was really my only choice because I wanted to do it in my room upstairs, but the lighting that I have there when it's nighttime is trash. And I struggle to transport my ring light up the stairs to go to my room. So I said, you know what? Downstairs is gonna have to do. And yeah, honestly, I don't really make my bed like that because I spend a lot of time here anyway in the evenings. If I'm doing admin work, I'm just chilling, lying on my back, because Assista be on her feet all day, and I usually just don't. I just don't like I used to as a kid. As a kid, I used to have much more, what can I say, tidiness tendencies, and it wasn't even mom telling me that I have to do that, like clean this, fix the bed, do the laundry, this and that. It was more of I couldn't see messes. If you look at my car is as bad. It's not gross in the sense of, oh my god, you got trash, you got food crumbs, you got this and that. It's more of, say, tote bags that I sometimes use in certain places that I shop. I have the tote bags and I used to have them all folded neatly inside the mother tote bag. But now it's like, oh, okay, I'm done. Here's the tote. Toss it there on my back seat. Toss it in the trunk. And my little journal that I keep in the car in case I have to jot something down that I just don't want to have on my phone or something. Or I need a piece of paper. It's like, okay, I write it, I use it, and toss it. I'm always by myself. So I really don't care. And I know I have said this before in one of my past videos, but I learned to refocus my efforts because I had those cleanliness tendencies of everything has to be neat, everything has to be organized, possibly legit OCD. It was getting in my way, and I wanted to learn to live with a little bit of messiness and not let that disrupt me. For instance, years ago, the car, I wanted to wash it almost every day. That's not normal. The inside, the outside, and my room, same thing. I wanted to just clean it from top to bottom, left and right, everything, pull everything apart and just clean and clean and clean. And it's kind of like a cat. Cats begin to groom themselves a lot when they're stressed to the point that their fur may start falling off. That's how I was feeling. I'm like, I'm just enslaving to keeping everything neat, clean, and organized, but what am I getting out of it? Am I really going to get sick from not cleaning for one day? Am I really going to see mold or mountains of dust? Am I going to have really bad asthma? Anything like that if I skip, I don't know, sweeping for 2 days or so? So it's not like, oh my god, I'm living in absolute filth. But I'm just glad that I don't lose sleep over unfinished tasks like I used to. To me, what's important is whatever pays me gets done. That's the priority. And then Self-care, of course, is number one above all that. But when it comes to like home maintenance, if I can ever quit my goddamn day job, sure, this will be the most impeccable place you've ever been to. As surprising as that may sound, because, the things that you have shared with me about the places you have been at, like, trust me when I say I am the queen of impeccability, if that's even a word. But, it's one of those things that I'm glad that the skill of, I guess, home maintenance was inculcated onto me. I'm just happy that I'm not obsessively enslaved to it like I used to. And now, the dishes, for instance, they get done, but I don't feel compelled to get them done immediately. I give them a pre rinse, a pre wash, and then if I have to head out and take care of something, fine. I head out, take care of something. I don't think about it. I come back, I see it, I finish it. But it used to be that I had to address that shit immediately. And that is when I feel that was more of mom's influence acting upon me, because I had to learn to distinguish that my schedule is not going to be compatible with everybody else's. So mom was pressuring me on the basis of her schedule. But what about my schedule? What about my time management? The things that I have to get done. I don't care how much younger than you I am. I don't care how many more bills than me you have. I don't care how many kids you have. At the end of the day, that's just the reality of things. You cannot rush me into doing something or feeling the pressure of doing something, having stuff a certain way when your timing doesn't work with my timing. Why is your timing the one that matters and mine isn't? See what I mean? So it's one of those things that it's like the ghost of being influenced in childhood wanted to creep in, but now that I am my own manager, I look at it as some shit is just unnecessary. And some shit doesn't need to happen at the time that one would think is optimal for it to happen. Like, to give an example, if I make a sale at 4:30 and the post office closes at 5, and I have to set aside time to dig up the item, pack it, throw it in the car, drive there, and stand in the line, the dishes don't matter. Going to the post office is what matters at that moment in time, because the dishes are still going to be there when I come back. See what I mean? Those kinds of adjustments is what helps me live a relatively successful adult life, because I'm not the kind of person who likes for shit to just accumulate. And I know a lot of people who have a lot of pending bullshit. I'm like, how do you not have time for this? Where did you waste your time? Or what did you do in place of something? And when it comes to shipping items, there's no reason why I cannot be an immediate shipper. And I would rather have that done today than push it for tomorrow, Sunday, but let's pretend it's Monday. Tomorrow, and then tomorrow when I get off work, I'm gonna get off work late, and I am scheduled to go to the gym with somebody who helps me make it to the gym. I'm running on their time, not my time. I know how to be on time. But when I'm managing my time because it revolves around somebody else's time, that's utter disaster. And that's when some people make the mistake of thinking that I am very controlling and manipulative. And I'm like, no, I just know how to be a good time manager. So this shit doesn't matter. The dishes sometimes don't matter. I don't care how much of a woman I am and need to be in the kitchen. It's not happening. Period. So if you find a way for me to not have my day job, sure, I will be that absolute, like, mother of the house type of thing that a woman is supposed to do. But until then, fuck this shit. Fuck it. Let's see. Is there something else that I did yesterday? I was able to get a little workout in. as well. And honestly, nothing really extraordinary happened. Just my mom calling me. My dad, of course, didn't make an effort to reach out. Don't miss him. Don't care. I'm just mentioning the fact that he didn't. And I wonder if it's because I was mad at him around the time that his birthday happened. I absolutely remembered that it was his day on the calendar, but I said, I just genuinely do not feel that impulse to say something. So why would I? Why would I expose myself to someone via calling or visiting or showing up if I don't want to? If I don't feel that desire? See what I mean? That's just fake. And I'm not fake. So maybe, because I didn't reach out to him for his day, maybe he's like, okay, well, if you don't talk to me, I don't talk to you. I don't know if he's like that. But another thing I could consider is that, from what I understand, he usually doesn't remember me. The only way he remembers me is if someone makes a mention of something regarding me. Like last year, my brother was saying that he mentioned that it was my birthday, and therefore that's why my dad ended up calling. But outside of that, my dad is not aware that the calendar dictates that it's my birthday. He doesn't even remember. I don't think he, off the top of his head, knows the exact day I was born, and particularly remembers at least when my birthday is. Am I offended by that? No. Why? Because to me, he's a stranger. I don't care. And everybody, literally everybody who means a lot to me and I care about, checked in. Everybody checked in directly to my phone. You guys know how I have said, if you ever are interested in me and we are legit tight, you will have my phone number. You're not gonna Facebook me. You're not gonna try to tweet me, except for the few Twitter friends who I would say, okay, you legit mean something to me and we know each other outside of Twitter, but we may prefer Twitter, something like that. Or email. Some of you guys, we have a connection through email. Everybody who I wanted and hoped and care about and really wanted to hear from, they all checked in. So everybody else does not fucking matter. And he did not make it to that list. And yeah, you guys, it's one of those things, man, that it is what it is. He has never been present. He has never cared. I grew up abandoned by him. That's the perception of him that I have. He does not try to reach out to me. I don't see how I can reach out to him when I don't need him. It's not like, I don't know, say something extreme like I don't have a job, therefore I could use support here. I'm not disabled, therefore I need physical help. Or, like I have made it without him. So it's hard for me to reach out to somebody who has made me feel inferior and like I don't exist and like I don't matter and doesn't remember meaningful things about me. He says that he's gonna show up for something and he never fucking did. Why would I reach out to someone who has emotionally hurt me? That's stupid. So that's why I really don't care to make the move to establish a connection with my dad. He is the dad. He has to put in the work. And if he hasn't done it yet, he's not going to. And I accepted that. And ever since I accepted that, I became such a happier motherfucker. Because I was letting his neglect toward me define me. And I lost too many precious years of my life feeling guilty that my dad didn't want me or love me and abandoned me and all that shit. I don't have time for that, especially when I know people who are not blood related to me who support me so much, help me so much, check in with me. I can ask them anything. They also tell me that I can ask them anything if I need help. If I don't need help, they're there. Those are the people I'm going to dedicate with. I'm not going to dedicate to the person who has problems committing. That is who he has been. And even when he makes plans, he ends up not showing up because anything can happen. Anything at all. No matter how stupid it is, anything can happen and take my place. And what's sad is that the last time he canceled me, first it was because allegedly he had a schedule conflict because he had a doctor's appointment because I guess his back has been broke for decades. And oh, look at that. You broke your back sacrificing yourself for other people, and I saw no benefit from it. So, how am I supposed to see you as heroic when you broke yourself for other people and I'm suffering from your absence? That's all I care about. I'm making it about me so that you understand what the consequences of your absence are. That's the first thing. You can show up to your job and break your back for the entire town, but when it comes to your house, your household, the family that you have, you're not there for the family, especially your immediate fucking family, such as your offspring. That's one. And second, he ended up getting, like, although he's retired, he ended up getting summoned for something work related. How are you working when you're retired? So even when you're retired and you're supposed to have time to do this shit, you're still not committing to your plans with me. And I'm supposed to be here celebrating the man, right? No! I get a self-respect. I grew up not self-respecting myself, and it cost me. So yeah, you guys, if you ever wonder why I'm so comfortable talking this way, I took my time processing this shit. And if there's a policy I live by is I'm going to be honest, no matter how horrible it sounds. So yeah, it sucks to feel that way. You know, like, oh, this person has never committed to their responsibility. So in the same manner that he has commitment problems with me, I have commitment problems at having the desire of establishing a relationship with him. I have surrogate fathers that make me happier than he ever has. You know, because at least these other folks, they took their chances trying to support me and help me, and I respect them. Whereas this other person, I don't know if it's cowardice or if it's just fucked up priorities, but he never has. You know? So, like I was saying in that one topic, I like to look at my dad as you are neutral to me. The more I think of you as a stranger, the better, because if I think about you, I don't love you, but I also don't want to hate you, because you guys know that although life is not supposed to be black and white, I like to live life as black and white because I don't have commitment problems. I know my feelings, I live them out, and I'm not embarrassed by them. I like you or I don't. I don't like him, but I don't hate him. So it's like, let me look at him as if he's someone I just don't know. And that's how he can exist in my life. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. I know it sounds like I'm just bitching and moaning, but I'm just so happy that I can talk about this, whether I get animated or sound agitated or something. I'm extremely peaceful about that topic now. And the most important years in my life that his presence was the most needed, I missed out. So what the fuck? If as an adult he's not showing up, then I guess his time or my time is gonna be up and we never got along. But what the fuck? Like I said, I've been able to make it with other people's support, which has been meaningful, maybe more meaningful than anything he could have provided. So, see what I mean? It's one of those things, just be honest with yourself. Because I suffered a lot not being honest with myself. And I wish that not that my mom did a bad job. I don't want to say that my mom didn't help with that at all, but I guess my mom's style of addressing the subject of my dad was not compatible with my personality. Me having my quiet, alone, journaling time, and perhaps opening up to the handful of people I've opened up in my life about this topic, it helped organize my thoughts better because unfortunately, mom is going to come from a place of hurt as well. She divorced this clown. Can she really be objective about the things she tells me, even though she's trying and promising me that she's objective? I don't think so. I think she's going to be subjective. Not her fault. I don't judge her at all. But I'm just saying that some of her ways of communicating my challenges with my dad and how I could go about it, it wasn't really compatible with me. Nothing wrong with that. She tried. It's not really her job. I think it's my job to define that, especially after my childhood is over. And my dad should also be responsible for his side of the story. You know what I mean? I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. I am. I was able to take some days off work. It wasn't quite a week, but almost a week. And yeah, I've just been chilling, organizing the house, doing some cleaning. I'm almost done looking through things in my room that have been there for years. I'm trying to make a decision on everything that I have. I haven't used you in more than 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 9 years, 10 years. Unless you're a piece of memorabilia, you probably need to go. So I've been filling up boxes to donate. I have dropped off items 3 times already in the past week. So I'm happy about that because my room has always been cluttery. And now the mess that I have is kind of an organized mess. Is items that are pending listing, which I have even more now, and it's quite frightening because I feel like this is never gonna be over. But fortunately, I guess with people going back to school, they're looking for items because items that regularly wouldn't go are going. So I was so excited. Even if I'm letting it go for a trivial amount, like $3, it's like, hey, that is a chocolate milk carton that I did not have to use my day job's, what is it, money to afford, So I always like those smaller victories because I feel like those impress me more than the bigger items going, if that makes sense. Because I look at it as this is a piece of trash, no longer useful for me, but I'm able to rehome it and someone found new use for it. Something about it, it just brings me peace because sometimes I think that the things that I donate end up in the landfill. There's no telling. And although I'm not really the most, what is it, invested in environmental stewardship, at least I try to make things count. And yeah, it's been nice seeing my room cleared up a little bit. And those boxes that I'm describing, I was able to empty 2 boxes that I have had since I moved into this spot 2 years ago. And I remember that when I was at my old place, it took me about 4 years to open some moving boxes. And even then, I thought that I was settled in that place, but of course I wasn't. And it's just one of those things that I just keep wondering, at what point am I going to be able to just settle somewhere? And that's why I try to continue discarding things. And that bracelet video that I made, it's like an exercise for me on how to part ways with things that I know I'm not gonna use, literally do not bring me any joy. They're just possessions occupying space, and given the damage, it's not practical for me to try to sell it, but at least I can donate it and maybe someone will take it, maybe not. I have seen damaged things being sold at thrift stores, so why not? So at least I like to make the decision of parting with it, but given that it's still functional, if someone else can try to do something with it, great. If not, I'll leave them with my responsibility of getting rid of the object on my behalf. Those little things, those are the stupid thoughts that I have, stupid moves that I make that make me feel like I'm taking small steps at progressing and just letting go of the clutter. Because you guys know me, I pretty much wear the same shit all the time. I have excess clothes. I'm trying to sell most of them and hang out by only keeping my basics, the t-shirts and things. So yeah, when it comes to that, I feel very happy that during this time off, I was able to find the energy that in past time offs I just couldn't. Because during the spring, I was off because after mom's wreck, I had to pretty much be her assistant. So that wasn't really time off for me to focus on me. And then the last time off I did, it was only like 4 days. And I was just tired. I was hurting physically and shit. So I pretty much tried to be more, I don't want to say recreational because it's not like I got to do anything meaningful recreationally, but I looked at it as I want to be able to put some effort into my side stuff. That's why you guys started seeing me being a little bit more present on the channel. So this I started treating as my recreational escape. But for me, the channel, like I have said before, it's really an extension of my journal. In some cases, a total replacement of it because it's been months since I physically wrote anything. But I'm glad that I'm still telling my stories, and that's what helps me keep my mind stimulated when my surroundings keep me understimulated. And I'm just not someone who goes out. Today, I was invited to go out to be in like a group kind of activity at someone's house, and I'm like, no, I just can't, because I know that I don't really fit in there. You know what I mean? It's like I may be really, really, really tight and cool with one person, maybe a surprise second person, but outside of that, I don't belong there. Why would I be at a place that I don't belong in? That's what I mean. And I also had committed, because again, your girl does not have commitment problems. I said, tonight I'm going to stream because it's been a long time since I was able to do it, and here I am. And I am not regretting this one bit. So it's just one of those things. I feel like there's people I know who could benefit from saying no to things more often. Give yourself the gift of no. Start saying no a little more often. And there are some things that, yes, you could start saying yes to, but there are some things that, trust me, you should practice saying no more often. And it's hard because I can't say that I'm saying that tonight and it was an absolute breeze for me to just do that, but it just really takes a lot of the pressure away. And I know that I was running the risk of running into an individual who I'm not particularly tight with. And it's not like we fight or have issues like that. I don't think this person is aware that I feel this way, but I need peace. I'm tired of fuck. I mean, I'm having a great time by myself. Let me be by myself, continuing to have a good time. See what I mean? And maybe in the future another opportunity happens and I'm in a better disposition, I guess, to do that. But tonight is not that night. And I like that if I already made plans that say leading up to my stream, I went to a random post office that somehow is open on Saturdays. I shipped what I had to ship, and prior to that I was working out, and prior to that I was cleaning my room and all that. By the time that I made that sale, I knew that I was going to stream this evening, so I said, all right, after I ship a roux, I'm going to take a shower and stream. And I haven't even eaten anything real. Like, I have gotten by drinking things that are like high in calories, like a smoothie, but I haven't really had much of an appetite because yesterday I pigged the fuck out. So I'm trying to fast. In addition, there's some places that when there's a gathering of people, sometimes I'm afraid that there might be an environmental factor that I cannot control that's going to represent a detriment to my health. Smokers! The squad that I'm aware of, they tend to smoke. And the last time I hung out with them, oh, I just remember that my lungs were awful. Because, I have asthma. That shit doesn't go well with me. So why would I go somewhere where there's a potential that I'll have to step away from the group because of the smokers? I think I made a video about that, come to think of it. It might have been a stream years ago. But I do know that I made this topic before. It's like, hey, I don't want to condemn the whole event, but it is what it is, man. Some people I just don't connect with. And the last time I had an outing with people I was 100% tight with, I started it. I texted one couple and one other person, and I tagged my boyfriend along, and it was paradise for me. We all knew each other. We all got along. It was quiet. We were all older people. And my boyfriend and I, of course, were the younger folks. But it was quiet, peaceful, productive, and nothing dramatic. No smoking, nothing like that. I thrive in those settings. But there are settings in which I just cannot thrive in. I'm not going to be there. So I just said to my representative, thanks for providing the info. I'm passing, but you have fun. You enjoy yourself. And it's one of those things, unless I get how can I say this? An indication that these people are evolving in a way to where I can exist in that social circle. Sure. Are you going to stop smoking? Okay, I'll be there. Are you going to behave in a way that's compatible with my personality? Sure. But I'm not going to change how I am to participate in this group that does nothing for me, that brings nothing to me. See what I mean? That's how I determine whether I go somewhere or whether I say no. Let's see. One thing I can say though, even if he's never been in your life, both your parents brought in this world a beautiful daughter, a blessing to the world. Thank you. It's funny that you phrased that because earlier I was having a conversation with someone who is not only my manager, but a very good friend of mine. And I was sharing with them that I had a weird complex because I'm not educated, as in higher education. I don't have a degree. I'm only a high school graduate. And what I mean is, sure, I work retail. I'm not a manager in retail. I'm just a basic entry-level employee, a little ass cashier. But for a while, I had a job that was tiptoeing into the admin realm, which was cash office. I was trained in cash office because I was expressing interest in moving up at the time. My moving up did not happen. I got rejected 4 times. No hard feelings. If anything, it was a fucking blessing in disguise because you guys, I was getting ready to be full-time manager in retail with a brutal schedule in which I would have to be available for the entirety of business hours. I would not have a life. The first thing that was going to happen was I was going to start weighing 200 pounds. I was going to get less sleep than I get now. My physical pain was going to turn even more chronic than it already is. I was going to have to be responsible for so much more. And the pay increase was trivial. That was a blessing in disguise, man. You guys know the video I made recently about how some opportunities may be there, but you miss out on the miracle of your success because you say no to certain things, or you might say yes to the wrong thing. Well, in this case, I was pursuing this wrong thing that I was desperate for at the time because of how dire my financial situation was, and I couldn't understand why I was getting rejected 4 times, even though I applied after 3 years and I did not have any like issues or complaints about my job performance or me as a worker, as a person, and shit like that. And I'm like, okay, you are encouraging me to move up, but here you are rejecting me. What the fuck? So ultimately, I looked at it as, I'm not salty for being rejected. I don't have problems being rejected. I just want to understand the politics behind why I'm being rejected. If I'm such a good cashier, if I get along well with the squad, if I don't get customer complaints, if I have a perfect attendance, why would you reject me? So at the time, I didn't do this immediately. I started doing this about a year after, but I started looking at it from a religious perspective. And I said, I was literally being protected from what would have been the worst mistake in my life. Because if I was stressed out already as it is, imagine sacrificing myself, becoming full time in this industry, and the channel would have to go, and by extension, my journal would have to go, and it would probably turn into more hate. Incline than it already was at the time, whatever little bit of time I had, and sacrificing my body even more. And it's not even something that's viable for me to be financially set. You know what I mean? Because that job doesn't pay. I can get by, but it's not something that's helping me further myself. And on top of that, I need space, I need quiet. That place is loud, the lights are bright, the people coming up in my personal space, the touching, ugh. So at the time when I was getting rejected, I looked at it as, well, shit, my situation is going to suck for a while. But then when I started thinking about it critically like that, I said, I dodged a bullet. And I feel bad because the people who are in that manager role, I know those people, I'm friends with those people, and I see their sacrifice, I see how hard they work. And then I look at it as that would have been me, and I see them, they're tired, they don't have time for anything, they have to be on call and all that. And as much as I don't have commitment problems, because I don't have commitment problems, I feel like at some point I was going to start being taken advantage of because I was someone reliable. And during COVID, that happened. A lot of people were calling out, and I was given the rougher shifts. In other words, the shifts at the start of the day, before the start of the day, because people could confirm that I was going to show up. I have a record of having perfect attendance. But then I thought it wasn't fair that I was part-time, getting the longest shifts, getting the earliest shifts, and I was by myself a lot of the times because I was the only one showing up. See what I mean? So imagine if I would have gone through COVID being a fucking manager, especially when I witnessed the stress and pressure that my managers were going through because this was unprecedented in their careers, and they had to come up with shit as they went, and it just did not feel stable. And as a woman, of course, stability is a must. See what I mean? So at the time, I did not understand that this was happening, let's put it this way, God's way. I wanted something, but that is not what I was meant to be doing at the time. And looking back now, even though my life has not changed drastically, or nor have I progressed significantly, at least I can say that I feel fine. I feel okay. I don't have the pressure of bringing the job to my house like my managers unfortunately have to. I also physically feel pretty decent, like you'll have pain because you do shit wrong sometimes. You stand too long, you lift heavier than you're supposed to. Generic shit. Plus I try to work out at the gym as well. Like the passage of time has its consequences. You break the fuck down. That's just the law of being a living being, right? But when I look at that opportunity, I'm like, I'm glad that I was rejected because I would have accepted this job, and I probably would have been someone who would need the recommendation to step down or quit, but my pride committing to this thing that I worked to get was going to get in the way. And I would probably still be having that job. There's no telling where I would be, how I would be feeling right now, all in the name of maybe an extra dollar, maybe an extra $2 by now. No, it's just not worth it. So I would rather just live very simple, continue to take my chances, and sacrifice myself the way that I had to sacrifice myself. But at least I can say that I'm fulfilled. I can control the things that matter to me. The noise level, the schedule is bad sometimes, but it's not unbearably bad. And I just don't want to live a life with excess responsibility. I don't see the point. I truly don't. And my time to be, I guess, invested in, I guess, intellectually to hold a more meaningful job. I don't want to say that it's over because I don't want to discredit the people who go, say, to college when they're older. But based on the goals that I had for my life, which is I don't have a lot of goals, then I don't see the point of killing myself when there's nothing for me to work toward. Does that make sense? Like, it's not like I'm not looking for the house, I'm not looking for the fancy house, I'm not looking for those material things, but I'm also not looking for prestige in society. I'm not trying to move up on the social ladder. I don't need to be hanging out with buffoons at the country club. I don't need to be hanging out with people with names. And I'm not trying to date a millionaire or anything crazy stupid like that. And I feel like I'm living conforming to my values, which is I truly am this simple. Why would I make a decision that would complicate it? And if something comes up in which I should have had a full-time job so that I could have this and that benefit, I will deal with that problem when we get there. Because it's possible that I'm not going to be here for that problem, or the problem will never come. And if it does come, my life has been problems all along. I'm not going to be intimidated by that problem. See what I mean? And in the event that I have a problem that's bigger than me, I guess I can put my social circle to the test. I may consider telling you guys, like, hey, I'm running into this situation. I'm not sure you guys can help in any way, but just so you know, give me some ideas. Or if you want to chip in some cash, if you can, something like that. But that would be an extreme. Like, I might die from this level extreme. And so far, that has not happened. Or something insane like, oh, well, the people I know in person, let me reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm running into the situation. What would you do? What can you do? I need help, but I don't know how to ask for it. Maybe the help that I need is more intellectual, more than anything. Like, advise me on this more than you actually doing something or giving me something. Shit like that. I'm not going to change that. You know what I mean? Like, problem solving, unfortunately, is where I thrive. So I see it as an adventure. And if you, like I've said before, knew me in person, what I'm saying would make sense, but the events that would define that better are kind of personal, and that's why I will keep them out from the channel. But it's just one of those things, man. You just figure out your level of weirdness and live conforming to it. Don't live based off what other people expect so that you can belong to their group. The fewer groups I belong to, the better. But just learn to live well within your position and keep it real. Just don't try to get somewhere where you know you don't belong. That's what I mean. It's really that simple. So yeah, for the longest time I always felt like I had that low self-esteem. The conversation I was having with my manager, who's my friend, again, it revolved around how I have my inferiority complex of being poor and being uneducated. That has always been my complex. My I am ugly complex that I had when I was a kid and I was a teen. I got over it by the time I was 17 years old. I don't know what the fuck happened to me, but I just looked at myself and I said to myself, I think I know how I can look, how I want to look in a way where I feel content and I don't feel pressured or like I'm not taking care of myself, anything like that. Just simple, basic. The makeup has to go. Tried it, didn't work. I don't care to learn. I hate how it feels. And when it comes to other miscellaneous changes, such as how thick should my eyebrows be, what kind of glasses should I wear, my teeth, it's like, okay, I could have used braces, but I didn't get them. What the fuck? I still have teeth. Therefore, chewing food, that's what matters. And things like that, it is what it is. I wasn't raised to be this femme fatale, so why the fuck would I start now? And I feel like there's a lot of women, for instance, who could benefit from downgrading their maintenance, but they don't. And then they start expressing themselves as victims. But I'm like, you're only a victim of your values and your low self-esteem, I guess. Don't try to recruit me, who doesn't have those problems, into your club. We're not going to get along. We don't belong there. And I don't have problems having hair on my arms because I understand how hair protects me. So don't ask me to shave it. The only thing I shave is my legs because something about the feeling of leggings that are like really smooth over freshly shaved legs and the feeling of linen over freshly shaved legs, you just cannot compare with that. But my arms, ugh, when I shaved my arms, I've shaved them twice. I hated it, especially my car seat. It was so abrasive. It just felt like sand rubbing against me. I don't know how these girls do it, but it is not comfortable at all to have no hair on your arms. Just trust me. And especially a woman's skin that's like thinner, I guess, more delicate than a man's. You men have frog skin. You don't understand this. But, my skin is just really thin. I can't be doing that. So I think that nature made zero mistakes with the way that I was designed. And I think that more people should take the time to learn those details. Why do you have the features that you have? I don't understand the people who try to change their entire face to look like something else. You don't understand that maybe your body is the way it is because you're meant to be in a desert. Your eyes are better protected from brightness and sand and snow and whatever the fuck. Just figure out what you are. Science is cool. Learn science. Science can cure your inferiority complex, but you don't take the time to do it because you like to spend your time bullshitting and gossiping and competing with other people on petty things instead. Whereas that time that you wasted, I spent it learning things. And maybe that's why I don't have trouble putting a sentence together, So those little things. It's those little things that made me feel someone with a low self-esteem. That's how I started boosting my own self, like bringing myself up, because I felt like someone who I like to learn things. I like to ask questions. I like to learn about you and your experiences. And this last hangout that I was describing with older people, I got to introduce two veterans to each other. And I knew that once they met, they were going to start rambling and going at it. And I'm like, there's nothing that brings me more joy in this world than seeing two veterans come together. And they were two completely different veterans. One of them saw action, one of them was more of an admin office worker. I never considered that. I know that the military has office work. My brother had a position like that. I think his was on security or cybersecurity, something like that. And I'm like, I always assumed that the military is all about deploying you and hopefully you don't die, but you might see shit. And I know that that's a misconception because we're not always at conflict in which we have to be deployed somewhere. But that aspect is not really discussed very much, at least in my experience. Military folks usually talk about more of the action that they saw on the field as opposed to administrative experiences. I'm more of an admin chick in that regard. I want to hear your stories. I was asking one of you guys about trench foot because I'm like, holy shit, I never considered that that is something that you deal with. Like when you don't have access to cleaning yourself and fresh clothes and shit like that, biology will happen, you know, and you can't stop that. That's the kind of shit I like to learn. Even if I never do anything with this information, it's practical, real information. Information about who done did my nails and how one of them might break is not useful for me. It doesn't stimulate my noodle up here. For some of you, it does. But if that's what stimulates your noodle, do you understand why you and I cannot hang out? Because you're going to talk about things I don't give a damn about, and the things that I want to talk about, you don't give a damn about. Why should we spend time together? Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Please tell me it makes sense. Sorry, I'm getting like animated and starting to trip with my words. But that's what I mean. When I get Xangry, that's where I'm coming from. And I like to take full control of those situations because, again, when I was growing up, I was just, I don't want to say I was forced into places I didn't want to be, but when you're a kid, your parent has custody over you. Therefore, wherever your parents go, you have to go. And there were a lot of places I just did not want to be in, but I was forced to. And fuck, I was just looking forward to the day that I grew up so that I could make my decisions, I could say no, and I could be away, and nobody can do a damn thing about it, you know? So now it's like, this is my season to be thriving out here. And now that I am, I don't want to lose that. I just want to continue to protect that. And there are going to be people out there who are going to try to disrupt that. And I'm saying that I'm the disruptor, not you. So yeah, that's where my little bit of pride comes from. Hi Zam. Hey Solitude, I remember you from the comments. I don't remember which comment, I don't remember which topic, but I remember that I was mentioning that I remembered you in, was it my shout out video? I think that's what it was. So good to see you. I feel like maybe I'd seen you before in a stream, but sorry, I'm not sure. You can always count on me for anything. Ha 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 and funny. It's a shave challenge. Lol, your skin looks beautiful. I guess I am glowing because, like I mentioned, I happened to be fresh from the shower and I have my magnificent light here. Do you guys want to see how cool my light is? I can make it brighter. But if I make it brighter, there's like, because I wear glasses, there's like a glare, some kind of glare I can't describe. And then I dead ass cannot see my phone screen. And on top of that, at certain times of the night, there's just some brightness that I'm begging to not have. So I try to have it a little minimal. But yeah, ring lights are so cool. I just wish I knew how to prop the stand on this because it keeps falling. I don't know how to adjust it. And I've had this thing for 2 years now. But yeah, so my skin glow, that's another thing. I feel like most of the people I know, the only time their skin glows is when they put on sunscreen. And that goes to show, man, how stressful and demanding a life of additional responsibilities is. And I can handle responsibilities. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying that that's not the life that I want to have. Some people can do that. Some people can get very little sleep and show up to their jobs. And some people have 41 hour long commutes. But for what? You're going to come home. Your home is mostly empty. You leave it empty in the daytime. You go to work so that you can afford this home, but you don't get to enjoy it. What is this? And on top of that, when you go to work, you're paying with your literal health in some cases because of how demanding this is. And it's so demanding that some companies have been rolling out programs for your mental health and well being. But I'm like, if you have to come out with this program in the first place, something needs to change. Clearly, people are not doing well in your company. See what I mean? So I'm the kind of person who I like to live a life of prevention. And of course, I'm not perfect at it, but at least I try to take the time to think, come up with a plan, and execute it. It's the whole plan, find out your information, consider your options, select, execute, and evaluate. That simple. So I'm currently in the stage of I selected something, I'm living through my selected choice, and I'm like evaluating it and making adjustments. Like, okay, this is the shit that's working, this isn't the shit that's not working, or rather, this is the shit that's not working. Therefore, what is the need that is not being taken care of? What can I adjust to fulfill it? That's simple. And because I have most things defined in my life, I feel like I'm just making small adjustments, tweaking. It's kind of like an app update. Oh, this app update squashes some bugs. What are the bugs in my life right now? And that's how I go about it. And my favorite way to go about those challenges is when I feel like I'm out of ideas, like independently, I'm not coming up with a solution. That's when I reach out. And the most beautiful thing is that when I get that impulse of, oh shit, I gotta reach out, I see the person's face, I hear their voice, and or if I text or email this person more, I see their words and I hear them via text. And that's how I know that I know who is who in my life, what role you are playing. We have good times, we have serious times, we have neutral times. And I just like that. I feel like my social life, even my social life, needs management. And I feel like I have it figured out. I know what to go to mom for. I know whom to go to for professional advice. And I know whom to go to for like channel things like, hey, how do you feel about this topic? I want to talk about this, but I don't know how to start it. How would you start it? Something like that. I know who my veteran is to ask war experiences for. I know who my person who's really good with a ton of languages is at. So like, hey, how do you figure this out? And what do you interpret by this, that, and the other? See what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for more friends. I'm not looking for more connections. I already have them. What I'm looking for is a way to continue to manage them, to keep them alive so that the sands of time do not claim them. But also, sometimes I do wish that I could physically have some of these people. But some of these people are people from my hometown, which is about an hour away. And then some others are from farther away, and some others are from farther, and some people are moving, some people just, some people just come and go. And if I know that you're someone who is going to be very temporary in my life, I feel that in my gut. Therefore, I'm not going to invest in you as much. I will get out of you whatever I can, whatever knowledge I can get from you, sure, for however long your season lasts. But I'm not going to be that person who's lamenting the fact that I'm losing you. And I don't give away spots in my personal life that easy. You know what I mean? So that's why sometimes I say, hey guys, I'm sorry. I may not see your comments for a long time because you guys are people. But unfortunately, you're not people I can devote to. And I think some people make the mistake of entertaining too many people who don't bring anything of value to your life. It's kind of like an immediate gratification. Oh my god, comment section, attention. Oh my god, tweets. I'm getting them. Oh, I'm sought after. I'm sought after like a steak, juicy. But is it really meaningful? Is it really? See what I mean? So I'm very particular. And just because I have manipulative and controlling tendencies, it doesn't mean that I do that to hurt you. I do this to take care of myself because I need management. I am responsible for me. That is not your responsibility. That is Zam's responsibility. It is Zam's responsibility to manage Zam, nobody else. But sometimes I feel like other people try to take on too much or try to impose onto me too much that I never asked for. And that's something that I too do to you, but you don't realize that I'm doing it until you ask. Sometimes I'll get people who tell me shit and I absorb their information. I may not give feedback, but if they ever make the mistake or do the smart thing of asking me what I think and I provide my input, oh shit, you had that opinion this whole time and you didn't tell me? No, you didn't ask. I am not going to show up to a place I am not invited to. I am not going to provide feedback if it has not been requested. And I feel that there's too many people out there making themselves wide open, but without a purpose. And I like to be very selective about that, very particular about that. Like I said, management. I need to organize this shit. It's just the way I am. And it's what makes me happy. What makes you happy is to be out there and improv, I guess. Do it as you go. I like to control, plan things. People seem to be really afraid of the word controlling. I think controlling is bad if you're attempting to manipulate an individual and limit their choices, limit their freedom, limit what they can do, things like that. I think you can intervene if a situation calls for it, but you cannot own someone like they're a pet. And sometimes I feel like, especially online culture, the audience is asking for this and that, and I have to give in because my career. I still think it's weird that content creation is a career, but I guess so. And you gotta entertain these people. Why? Why? See what I mean? Why? I like to still have my in-person job. I still like to have these things on the side. And I like to manage you guys however I can. Sometimes you'll hear from me soon. Other times you'll wait for me for months. Sorry. It's the only way I can run this shit. So yeah, you guys, that's pretty much where I'm at with this. And I know that I can count on you, Holger. And yeah, you guys, I guess that was really I didn't have anything planned for this stream, really. It was just improv, say whatever I want to say as I go. But the next stream, whenever I get around to it, I'll definitely have a more defined topic. But this time it was like, Zam is life. It's real and it's happening. And I'm just excited that I got to give this a try again and that my equipment worked, because sometimes if you guys are OGs around here, my streams used to crap the fuck out on me because my phone just didn't have the capacity at the time. But it looks like now I do, and now I just want to do that type of thing. And yeah, I think that some of the topics that I have in mind to stream about are the kind of topics that I have kind of already gone over, but because it's been a while since I presented some topics, it's possible that my opinion may have changed a little bit or it stayed the same. And that's something I like to do. I like to reflect on past things to see if there's something I have evolved from, something I've grown from, something I've gotten worse with, or something that there's no change to report. Thank you for the live. You just reminded me that you, I think, were one of the people who was saying that you miss seeing me live. Am I right? Or am I mistaking you for someone else? But anyways, yes, it was so nice to be here. I enjoy going live because I feel like it's a test on me about how well I can, I guess, host a show. But it's kind of hard when you don't plan anything, when you don't have a script, I guess. But I think it's also cool because when you hang out with people in person, do you actually carry with you a piece of paper and you're like, ah, motherfucker, this is the script, this is the schedule, this is what we're talking about? No, you have natural, organic conversations with people. It may go like, hey, how's it going? Not much. You? Not much. Okay, good day. Other times it's, did you hear what happened to Trump? Dang, that was insane. Was it real? I think it was staged. I think it was real. Social, what are they called? Special Secret Service? Yeah, Secret Service. They done fucked up. Or, nah, I think that, they have protocol, they have this, that, and the other. And, I mean, the audio sounded fake. It sounded like an air rifle. No, but somebody died. I think that's crazy. I think another person died. All that stuff. It's like, that's how people talk in person. And I think that when it comes to online content on YouTube, I'm more of someone who gravitates toward, sure, I like commentary content, but I like when the commentary actually has a direction and it's more the person's opinion. And usually I try to look for people who are like teachers, or you were a former police officer or something like that, because I feel like you will be able to speak as a veteran of this subject and not as someone who's trying to blow this up in a way to make it sensational and get the clicks, but you're really not adding much to the conversation, or whatever you're adding is what someone else has already said, and some creators just sound like they're repeating what someone else said. And sometimes you repeat yourself because you have listened to other people's opinions and you agree with other people's opinions, and then their opinions begin to contaminate your thoughts. I just like to hang out in channels that sound like someone I could have a conversation with in real life. And I don't have anything against scripts. Just because I don't have one doesn't mean that everyone else who has it is wrong. It's just that sometimes content becomes so overly produced that it feels like a company, like a big company. And big companies to me tend to take away from an individual's freedom because I have to conform to this box that this company puts me in. See what I mean? So I like to establish a connection with content that I feel is useful for me. So if I'm going to watch something that has a script, I would rather it be something like a documentary so that it flows better. Can you imagine watching a documentary and the narrator is like me, stuttering, going all over the place, coming back to the original point minutes after, there's no organization, no structure. I think that would be a bad way to tune into documentaries, because documentaries are intended to be educational. But I think that when you're trying to chill out, and I guess you're looking for a different kind of mental stimulus that doesn't feel serious or formal, I think this is the best way to go. And of course, I understand that it's not for everybody, but just browse. Don't give up on browsing. I feel like I have found my nice niche of channels I like to tune into, where I have the pro, I have the informal person, I have the comedian, and I have the musician, and I have the politician, and I have the mental health advocacy channel. Boom, I'm done. I don't need anything else. I don't need to keep exploring or committing to just finding, and clicking. And what are you looking for? Do you ever do that shit? You're on Netflix or on YouTube and you're just scrolling for 10 fucking minutes and you still haven't watched anything? I think that's bad. You're overwhelmed by choice. So why not deal with someone who keeps it simple, I think that's a fun way to do it and best way to go. All right, guys, the floor is open. Who has something to say? Because your girl is ready to go. Nobody? Nobody has anything? Okay. I gave you your chance. I went quiet for, how long was that? 5 seconds. So anyways, you guys, just know that I'm not going anywhere. I don't know how often I'll stream or when my next stream is. I would love to tell you tomorrow at 3 p.m. I am committing to doing a stream. But again, because I have things to manage in my personal life, it's not practical for me to schedule myself for this thing. And if I'm going to do this, I like to have as much time at my disposal as possible. Tonight is an example of one of those nights. It just happened to work out. I saw the opportunity and I took it. But for me to officially be like, hey guys, so every Sunday afternoon you're gonna see me, or say I make a community note and tell you, hey, on Monday at midnight I'm gonna be live. Like, I just can't do that because my life, because it's interrupted by work and any other miscellaneous things that come up, it's one of those things that I just cannot tie myself to one of these shows. And you guys know that when I do show up, I like to really, really, really hang out and spend as much time as I feel like, and if I schedule it in advance, I feel like that takes away from my enjoyment and maybe your enjoyment, because I'll feel kind of like the pressure of, oh, I gotta have a plan when I'm doing this. And I really think that being spontaneous is really the best way to go with shows like this. Come back soon. You can definitely expect to see me slightly more often. I cannot say how often because I'm still kind of testing the waters here, but I'm going to try, not promising, attempt to once a week make an appearance. But if not, you can count on my relatively almost daily uploads that I make, because those are really practical. Some of them can be a little long, some of them can be super short, and no matter what, those I can certainly slide in, because sometimes the video that you may be watching today I may have shot 3 days ago. It doesn't happen often, but when it happens you can probably tell. But usually I like to, the day off, upload it as well, but sometimes I just can't. But anyways, I ain't going anywhere, and I will try to also visit the comments, because I'm sure that I have accrued some new ones since my last round of replies, I guess, visiting. So yeah, you guys are so nice. I really mean it when I say that, especially you guys who have been around here for a while. that some of you guys have left comments that gave me ideas that helped me improve my life. And especially those topics that get a little serious, like when I complain about something, or I get mad about something, or I talk about my challenges with my parents and shit. Sometimes you guys leave things that bring me a peace that I couldn't experience before, because, like I've said before, I felt very guilty and a lot of shame for a long time, and I don't know why still. But if I had to guess why, I think it's because I always felt like I wasn't important. I was the youngest kid. I didn't need help with my homework. I didn't have health issues. So it's kind of like what I have said before about how when you work in the daytime, you're giving your best energy, you're well rested in the daytime, but then you come home and I get the worst version of you. See what I mean? So with my parents, sometimes it feels like my brother, being the eldest but also the one who was born with some issues and he required help, he was the daytime for my parents. I arrived toward the twilight and nighttime where they're wiped out, tired, and separated. See what I mean? So I think that I had to learn to thrive in trouble because I was literally bred in times of trouble. So now it's like I'm trying to learn to live in a more peaceful time, because sometimes peace does arrive in my life, but sometimes I can't handle it. I'm not saying that I start shit to get myself in trouble, quite the contrary. I want to make it even simpler, but that is one of my biggest fears, when a disruption that I may not be prepared to deal with arrives, and then I start having my little meltdowns. But ultimately, I really think that as temporary as life is, everything is going to be okay. It's been okay before I made it here. It's been okay in my time here, and it's going to be okay after my time here. So, yeah, that's why I insist, keep shit simple. I'm not saying don't have dreams, don't have goals, but in your quest for those things, keep it simple. And I will never forget the person who taught me that. The person who taught me that my health and wellness are the first and most important thing, and that everything else is secondary, and that everything is going to be okay. And I still talk to this person daily, so it's nice. That's a source of support that continues to this day. Everybody deserves a friend like this. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon in the stream. Are you sure that you want to stop streaming? No, but I have to. I gotta go. I should eat.